God's original plan for humankind was that we should partake of a plant-based diet. It's an amazing thing that many people are unaware of.
Please continue watching to find out more.
Vegan, leaving a huge inheritance for the future generation.
Hur mår du means how are you in Swedish. Noble viewers, I'm Johan. The joyous people of Sweden wish that you may live in peace and harmony. We thank God every day for the infinite love and protection that shelters us from the pandemic and various disasters. Let us all pray together for a soon-to-be vegan world. Welcome to Compassion Toward All of God's Creation, interview with Rabbi Eliyahu Soiefer, Vegan, part 1 of 2.
I felt the life energy of that chicken, the fear. I felt the fear, and it sort of started with my hand, and it just enveloped me, and I felt as if I were feeling what the chicken.
These are the earnest words of Rabbi Eliyahu Soiefer about a turning point in his spiritual life. During the Jewish Kapparot ceremony, which often results in slaughtering innumerable chicken people, Rabbi Soiefer was struck by the suffering of the chicken people. The rabbi soon after became vegan and started his religious mission to share the benefits of plant-based living with the world. Rabbi Soiefer began his unique journey as a talented musician. He graduated from the Berklee College of Music and received a master's degree in education from Adelphi University. Following that, he achieved rabbinic ordination from Yeshiva Kol Yaacov. Later, he became the spiritual leader of the Congregation Achdus Yisroel, as well as a member of the Rabbinic Council of Jewish Veg. Today, we are delighted to introduce Rabbi Eliyahu Soiefer. He will inspire us with many interesting topics, from Judaism, veganism, youth education, to his passion for spiritual music. We begin with the rabbi's explanation about the fundamentals of Judaism.
Judaism, as you may know, is based on monotheism. The first monotheism is based on the idea of one God. And when we say God is one, in the central prayer of Judaism, the Shema, it says, listen, God is one. It doesn't mean one as opposed to two, or 3, or 589. It means that God is one. There is only one. That means that God creates us with his divine energy, and we become enveloped within divinity. Therefore, all of creation is, in a sense, part of godliness and godly. Therefore, when we have to treat all of God's creation with compassion and empathy, because it all contains holiness and godliness. So there are many, many teachings in the Torah. That's the way we refer to the first 5 books of the Bible, about compassion for all creation. And there are many, many rabbinic stories that are taught regarding compassion towards all creatures of God. That, by the way, not just animals, but people too. We have to be kind to people as well. So the idea of compassion is central to Jewish theology.
Rabbi Soiefer also shares insights about God and the true purpose of our human life.
God's creative energy, it's not that God created the world and then he went to Florida to retire and sit on the beach. The creation is constant. That means every moment is new, is creation renewed, the divine energy which sustains all of creation. I'll tell you an interesting thing. In Hebrew, in the Holy Tongue, Hebrew, the word for world is olam. The word olam in Hebrew has a dual meaning. It means world, but it also means hidden. The actual word for our physical material world that we live in is to be hidden, because God hides himself in the world. Our objective, our task as human beings who are put on this earth for a certain amount of time is to reveal the divine spark in all of creation. We do this through compassion, through kindness, through performing acts, positive acts, acts that reveal the harmony of the universe.
Rabbi Soiefer goes on to speak more about compassion, including God's instructions about our diet.
Judaism is based on the Bible, or more specifically, what some people refer to as the Old Testament. You will find that the first humans were commanded by God Almighty to only eat fruits, vegetables, and grains. In other words, God's original plan for humankind was that we should partake of a plant-based diet. It's an amazing thing that many people are unaware of. And if a person wants to live in a way that we can possibly regain that lost innocence, regain the perfection of the original plan of creation, then by participating and partaking of a plant-based diet to the best of our abilities, we are recapturing some of God's original desire and plan.
Passover is one of the most important Jewish holidays. Rabbi Soiefer speaks about veganism as it relates to the meaning of Passover. Let's find out more about the spiritual significance of Passover and why a vegan celebration of this holiday is so important.
We have another wonderful holiday called, as you say, Passover. And that holiday is a remembrance of the historical event of the Exodus from Egypt. The Jewish people were kept as slaves in the land of Egypt. And as a celebration of our delivery from slavery to freedom, we have many, many ways of symbolically remembering that. And one of the ways we remember that is a Seder plate, which contains certain symbolic. Now, certain of these symbols are non-vegan symbols. We substitute these symbols for other symbols which get across the same symbolic point, but in a way which does not involve animal products. Now, Passover, as I mentioned, is the celebration of freedom. And if we look around and we look at the way animals are kept today, it's not like in the olden times where a person had a couple of chickens running around their yard, or maybe they had a cow for milk and a cow for this. Today, everything is on what they call factory farms, and the animals are not given an opportunity, even in their short lives, to live a free life. They're literally kept in these little cages and crates, and they're imprisoned. So what better holiday, the holiday expressing our desire, every sentient being desires to be free, to live a free life. So what better way to honor that than on Passover, when we as Jewish human beings celebrate our freedom from slavery, to do something, to do actions in this life that help others and other beings and creations of God to celebrate their freedom by not participating in the system which imprisons them.
Joyful viewers, let's continue watching Rabbi Eliyahu Soiefer's moralistic stories on today's show. We will hear the special spiritual program, Vegan Birthright Program, in which he has participated for years.
The children are very open-minded. Children are willing to listen. They're not set in their ways, so to speak. So if at a young age we introduce children to the ideas of compassion for all of God's creation, and if we introduce them to some of the concepts that I was explaining to you a few moments ago about God's original plan for humanity, this program of Birthright is specifically geared towards those who don't know too much about their heritage. So when we take young people to explore the Jewish people's homeland, the Holy Land of Israel, and we do this in concert with teaching Jewish spiritual themes and ideas. And as we discussed a little bit earlier, one of the most important ideas of Judaism is the fact, as we discussed, that the original diet of humankind was a plant-based diet. And that our animal diet is not the way that it was meant to be. We've gone off the path. And our whole job is to act in ways that bring us back to the original path so that we can create a form of paradise once again on this earth. So when you take a Jewish young person and you take them to the Jewish land of Israel, and you teach them these Jewish ideas and concepts, you have the whole package, the package deal. They come home, they're all excited. You can see in their faces, in their eyes, the transformation about the richness and the depthness of not only their Jewish heritage, but wanting to live the lifestyle of a plant-based diet.
Rabbi Eliyahu Soiefer is not only a vegan spiritual leader, but also an accomplished musician and composer. He will now open up about his passion for music and connect its miraculous power with a spiritual story.
Well, this is a subject that is close to my heart because I am a musician. I like to express myself through writing songs. And the great Hasidic master once said that music is the pen of the soul. And really, we can go back all the way to, there was a fellow named Pythagoras. People who know a little math remember from school his theory, but he was also a very great philosopher. And he had a theory. His theory was that all the planets, all the orbs of the universe, since they move, he theorized that they must make sound because everything that moves makes noise, makes a sound. And he theorized further that this was just not some random sound. He theorized that all of the universe through movement was producing music, musical notes. And not only that, that those musical notes were in complete harmony with each other. Now, you might ask, I can't hear it. I can't hear this symphony. Why can't I hear it? So he had an answer for that. he said that since we were born inside of it, we can't hear it because we're so used to it, so to speak. In any event, according to that, we see that all the vibrations of the sound waves of the universe are really what we are living inside of. So we're talking about a very powerful spiritual, a potent spiritual power of music. And that is why, I could talk and talk and talk and talk, but not get to you, not really get to you. But if I play you a beautiful song, or you listen to a beautiful symphony, or you hear the strumming of a guitar, not only does it get to you somehow, it can make you cry. It can make you want to dance. It can make you have unbelievable revelations of the mind and the heart. What is this mysterious power? So this is the power of the musical note. We talk about Judaism and the connection to Judaism. We see in the Bible many stories about the power of music. I'll just share one with you, that there was a young man. His name was David. He was a shepherd. In any event, David had a father-in-law, a guy named Saul, who was king. And Saul suffered from depression, and no one could help him with his depression. But this young man, David, who later was to become the king of Israel, David figured out that if he would sit by his father-in-law's bedside and play on his harp, the depression would leave his father-in-law, he would become happy and contented. So one of many examples of where we see music being able to transform the soul.
The rabbi enthusiastically shows us how he naturally infuses spiritual teaching with his music.
I usually end up incorporating in the lyrics of my songs biblical themes. It just happens because I'm thinking about this, learning about this all the time, so it just sort of finds its way into the thing. I'll give you one example. One of my songs is called Venice of America. And to make a long story short, the subject matter of the song is a few years ago, I discovered that there were certain places, certain cities in America where they were passing laws forbidding private citizens from feeding homeless people. This disturbed me very greatly on many levels, but it reminded me, believe it or not, of a biblical story. Very quickly, I'll give you the short version. In the Bible, we find, I'm sure you're familiar with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which were two very evil towns filled with evil people. And they were so evil that God decided to destroy these towns. One of the things they did was that they forbade people to feed beggars. And I wrote a letter to the mayor of this particular city that was becoming famous or infamous for being one of the first cities to enact this. And I wrote him and I told him, there's a biblical story about this. You should rethink this. So anyway, this inspired me to write a song. I updated it to our times, and I wrote a song which serves as a parable for that story. So that's one example of how I use Judaism and spirituality in my songs.
At the close of the interview, Rabbi Soiefer shares some last thoughts about how to transform our world.
Just this idea of the unity of divinity, that all sentient beings share a divine spark. It doesn't mean that we all agree on politics, on this, on that, on the other thing, but we can disagree respectfully as long as we can find common ground, things that we have, and build on and try to make a harmonious planet, a harmonious world. And it's up to us, really. Who else is going to do it if not human beings? We were given the capacity and the stewardship the stewardship of this earth by God Almighty, and we should do it in a positive way. And this is a great way to do it, meeting people, connecting with people, like-minded people, and trying to transform the world into a little bit of a better place for everybody.
We thank Rabbi Eliyahu Soiefer for sharing his wisdom about the connection between compassionate living and the Judaic faith. May people of every religion join to create an elevated vegan planet filled with love, peace, and harmony for all beings. For more information, please visit jewishveg.org.
You don't have to take a life to grow muscle. David Carter, vegan.
Truth-seeking viewers, we hope you enjoyed today's show on vegan and religion. May your soul resonate in joy with the music of the celestial spheres.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/VR.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/VR.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule i suprememastertv.com/VR.
Naše programy nabízejí více jazyků. Prosím, navštivte suprememastertv.com/schedule a suprememastertv.com/VR.